Hola.
Voy a volver a compartir.
Claudia
Está dando
Pérez,
calor ahora.
apurate.
Ahí está. Bueno,
No,
well, she was dreaming about her inventions, okay? Uh, when uh, and look at this thing that happens to her. It was a funny thing, but nearly all the time there was some kind of piano piece or other music going on in the back of her mind. No
Ajá.
matter what she was doing or thinking, it was nearly always there. She was always thinking of music, and she
Yes.
listened to the music on the radio of a lady who boarded with them, no?
Yes. That's
And
true.
this lady listened to classical pieces. So what she knew were all classical pieces of music. And this is funny because she says there was one special fellow's music that made her heart shrink up every time she heard it. Sometimes this fellow's music was like little colored pieces of crystal candy. This is a beautiful image, isn't it?
No, no.
Beautiful.
No,
And
bueno,
other
estoy en el
times it
ahora.
was the
¿Te acordás que
softest,
esta noche
saddest
tenemos un
thing she
evento,
had
no?
ever imagined about. Voy a mutear a Alice, perdón, ¿eh? Ahí está. Eh, the images of I mean, how she represents the music, like little colored pieces of crystal candy, is a beautiful way
Yes,
of,
beautiful.
no? And
Really.
later, when we go on reading, we discovered that the music she liked was Mozart's,
Mozart, yes.
no?
Mm.
But she, at
Later
that time,
on, I
she
don't
didn't
know if
know. So
later
she,
on.
sorry,
Yes.
Gabriela?
Yes, it's later on that we discover
Later
that.
on, because well, she goes back. She comes down. Yes, because the baby is crying. She has
Yes,
to go
poor
back
thing.
to her two brothers, and when she's alone in the house, she writes on the Alice, te muteé, desmuteate ahora, porque venía ruido, entonces muteé, fíjate. Mm. Eh, Dale. Eh, bueno, so she has some chalk in her pockets, and she writes on the walls of the new house. On the top, Edison. Why? Because he discovered things, and she wanted to be an inventor. It's so funny. Then Dick Tracy. I sent you the information about Dick Tracy, the
Yes,
comic.
I read that.
What's a detective?
A detective. Then Mussolini. And then before, and of course her initials, no? MK. And before leaving, and sorry, I forgot a bad word.
Yes.
And then before leaving, she thought of the music again, and she wrote Mozart. I mean, with a misspelling, no?
Misspelled, yes.
Mozart, Mozart.
Mozart.
But this is the way that they pronounced it, and so she wrote it as she imagined it because she had never read the name.
Mhm.
But she knew that a teacher, or a friend of hers, had a piano teacher. So she asked her friend to tell the teacher to know the name of this musician that she liked. And so she knew that it was just a kid who had lived in some country in Europe a good while ago. But even if he was just a young kid, he had made up all these beautiful pieces of the piano and for the violin and for a band or orchestra too. So she could remember 6 different tunes from the pieces of his she had heard. A few of them were kind of quick and tinkling, and another was like that smell in the springtime after a rain. No, the metaphors for the music are beautiful, no? But they all made her somehow sad and excited at the same time. She hummed one of the tunes, and after a while, in a hot, empty house by herself, she felt the tears come in her eyes. Her throat got tight and rough, and she couldn't sing anymore. Quickly, she wrote the fellow's name at the very top of the list, Mozart. No, this is so nice, because she wanted to be an inventor, she wanted to be important, but
Music.
music was the first thing for her, yes? Well, finally she goes back to the to the children, yes. She gives the one who is crying a piece of candy to stop his crying. And her feelings, about what she has to do with the children. When you said you were so sick and tired of dragging him around and you had a good mind to throw him in the river, it was the same to him because he was a baby, as if you had been loving him. Nothing much made any difference to him. That was why it was such an awful bore to haul him around. So poor Mick, no, carrying the baby all the time. Well, so we have a kind of insight of Mick's mind, and we know that she dreams, as Alice said, she dreams of great things for her future because she's planning to be famous at 17. So she thinks that her life would be different, yes?
She has 4 years
Yes, claro. In 4
to
years
become famous.
to become famous, she will have a red car with her initials on it. No, this is so. But when you remember when you were that age, probably we had that type of dreams too, no? Of being
Yes, of course.
important,
Yes.
no? Mick dragged the wagon slowly because
And at that time, you like to be alone.
yes, to be alone, to be able to dream.
Yes, you feel important when you are alone
Yes,
at that time.
you can dream of things. I remember
Yes.
that at that time I read, ¿cómo se llama this politician who, ¿cómo se llama? Que lo quisieron matar y mataron a otro en el Senado. ¿Cómo se llamaba?
Oh, yes.
Ay, sí, el de la carne, el de
Sí,
los
pero no
negociados de la
Lisandro de
carne.
la Torre.
Lisandro de la Torre, el que denuncia lo de la carne, sí.
Claro, y yo
Los
estaba
negociados.
leyendo un libro con la vida de él, y yo me parecía que era tan importante y tan hermoso hacer algo así por el país, que me imaginaba
Ay,
que yo
sí.
también iba a ser una, no sé, una política, una senadora, yo qué sé. Esas cosas que uno, bueno, very inspiring lives, ¿no? Well, so Mick dragged the wagon slowly because she was not in any hurry to get home. Of course, she doesn't want to get home. She began talking to the kids, but it was really more like saying things to herself than words said to them. This is a funny thing, the dreams I've been having lately. It's like I'm swimming, but instead of water, I'm pushing out my arms and swimming through great big crowds of people. The crowd is 100 times bigger than in Cressy's store on Saturday afternoon. The biggest crowd in the world, and sometimes I'm yelling and swimming through people, knocking them all down wherever I go. And other times I'm on the ground and people are trampling all over me and my insides are oozing out on the sidewalk. I guess it's more like a nightmare than a plain dream. So, no, but this shows the feeling she had. She felt that she was never alone, that there are a lot of people around her, that she had to fight against all these people, no? Well, as it is a sun.
And her age is complicated because it's between the bigger and the children.
What
And
a
she's
difficult.
nothing, no?
Yes. What a difficult time, no? In a girl's
Yes,
life.
13 years is very hard.
Very hard, yes. Well, it is a Sunday, and so a lot of people go to visit the boarders at the house. So they had lunch there, the boarders and also the visitors, no? So when she comes back to the house, uh, she knows that she will not be able to eat in the dining room. She will have to go to the kitchen. Well, and she goes on talking to the children. But there's one thing I would give anything for, and that's a piano.
No, yes.
If we had a piano, I'd practice every single night and learn every piece in the world. That's the thing I want more than anything else. So poor Mick, she wants a piano, something very expensive,
Very
imagine.
expensive.
So they had come to their own block now, a home block now. Their house was only a few doors away. It was one of the biggest houses on the whole north side of town, 3 stories high. But then there were 14 people in the family. Imagine.
14.
There
Wow.
weren't, claro, there weren't that many in the real Blood Kelly family, but they ate there and slept there at $5 a head, and you might as well count them on in. Mr. Singer wasn't counted in that because he only rented a room and kept it straightened up himself. So Singer was different because you remember that he had his lunch, everything at the bar. So
At
he
the bar,
not, claro, he
yes.
did not eat with all the others, no? Well, and here we have the sisters, Gabriela, that you were
Yes,
asking about.
mentioning it.
Hazel and Eta.
Yes,
Hazel
I
and,
remember this conversation. That's why I said they were older.
yes,
I
they are
don't
older,
remember
yes,
exactly, but I remember
Yes,
the
they are older.
and they shared the bedroom, no?
Mm.
While Mick shared her bedroom with the 2 babies, no? Hazel and Etta stopped talking when they saw her. Etta was sitting in the chair by the window, painting her toenails with the red polish. Her hair was done up in steel rollers, and there was a white dab of face cream on a little place under her chin, where a pimple had come out. Hazel was flopped out lazy on the bed as usual. What were you all jawing about? It's none of your nosy business, Etta said. Just you hush up and leave us alone. So poor Mick, she's not accepted by the elder sisters. It's my room just as much as it is either one of yours. I have as good a right in here as you do, Mick strutted from one corner to the other until she had covered all the floor space. But then I don't care anything about picking any fight. All I want are my own rights. So you see, Mick is defending her right to be there. So here we have some description about the 2 sisters, yes. Etta was like she was full of worms. All she thought about was movie stars and getting in the movies. Once she had written to Jeanette MacDonald. I sent you the picture of this actress because, simply to remember. So Etta was interested in being an actress, in being in Hollywood. No, well, and the problem was that Etta was not very, very beautiful. And she had a job as a secretary, but she wanted to be friends with Jeanette MacDonald. She primped all the day long. All that was the bad part. Etta wasn't naturally pretty like Hazel. The main thing was that she didn't have any chin. She would pull at her jaw and go through a lot of chin exercises she had read in a movie book. So can you imagine this girl trying to have a bigger chin? It's impossible. There are there aren't exercises to change your chin. No sé qué haría. Se tiraría de acá para lograr que se le alargara ¿cómo se
I'd be
llama?
surprised.
Claro.
The boys are doing that now, you know.
Who?
Boys are doing exercises because they want their jaws to grow,
Uh-huh.
to go square face. Adolescent boys.
And what do they do? Because
I don't know exactly what it is that they do, but they do a kind of movement and they try to like swallow, but they don't swallow, so you don't see your double chin
ajá.
for
Ah,
this
bueno.
part. And there
Ah,
was
bueno.
another movement, but I can't remember the movement right now, that they do all the time because they want their bones to show and their
Ah,
face to be square.
mira qué lindo.
So
Bueno,
this has happened all over the
yes,
years. Adolescents have always been like that.
yes, trying to change their face.
Nowadays, it's boys that are changing.
Yes, they want to have a square face. I didn't know
Yes,
that. Wow.
yes. High
Okay.
cheekbones.
So, Eta, yes, shouts at Mick. Yes, she says, "Are you just going to tramp around the room all day? It makes me sick to see you in those silly boys' clothes." No, because Eta wants to dress like a lady, and Mick is dressed
Yes.
like a boy. "Somebody ought to clamp down on you, Mick Kelly, and make you behave." "Shut up," said Mick. "I wear shorts because I don't want to wear your old hand-me-downs. I don't want to be like either of you, and I don't want to look like either of you, and I won't. That's why I wear shorts. I'd rather be a boy any day, and I wish I could move in with Bill." Bill is the other brother, yes? Mick scrambled under the bed and brought out a large hat box. As she carried it to the door, both of them called after her, "Good riddance." So she quarrels with her two sisters, and she takes this big or large hat box, no? Where her treasures are. She goes to see Bill, the brother, but Bill is also older, no? And he lives in a room. He has the nicest room of anybody in the family. Like a den. Fíjense, el cuarto de él es una guarida. Por eso le gusta a Mick. Es una guarida. And he had it all to himself, except for Bubber. Bubber is the baby, no? Bill had pictures cut out from magazines stacked on the walls, mostly faces of beautiful ladies. Obviously, he's a boy. And in another corner were some pictures Mick had painted last year herself at the free art class. There was only a bed and a desk in the room. Bill was sitting hunched over the desk reading Popular Mechanics. So she talks to him. He says, "Hi, will it bother you if I stay in here a little while?" "Sure, I don't mind if you want to stay." So because they have a good relationship, no? But the boy is also growing up. So this good relationship will not last because the boy is also an adolescent. And so she tells him, "I've been thinking about what I've done on this already," she said, "and it may work and it may not." She's talking about the things that she has written down and that she is keeping in the box. She writes and then she puts what she has written in the box. But Bill doesn't pay attention to her. Bill went on reading. She still knelt over the box but did not open it. Her eyes wandered over to Bill as he sat with his back to her. Then it is funny how the description of Bill's shoes is made, no? Because apparently he has big feet and big ears. And so the father says that Dad had said that all Bill's dinners went to his feet and his breakfast to one ear and his supper to the other ear. Pobre pibe, tenía pies grandes y orejas grandes, y el padre le decía eso. So, Bill had been sour over it for a month, but it was funny. So he tried to hide his feet by scraping one foot behind the other when he stood up, but that only made it worse. This lack of comfort, no, that adolescents have with their bodies, it is so. I mean, McCullers describes this so well, no, because adolescents are boys, especially, are uncomfortable with their bodies. They want to hide some parts of their bodies, no. So she opened the box a few inches and then shut it again. She felt too excited to look into it now. She got up and walked around the room until she could calm down a little. After a few minutes, she stopped before the picture she had painted at the free government art classes. See how the idea that she goes to art classes, but that the art classes are free, has been repeated. No, they have no money, so she has to use all the possibilities because she likes art. So she goes to free classes. She practices alone. But poor girl, she doesn't have any possibility, no? She asks a friend of hers who has a piano teacher. She cannot have a piano teacher. She cannot have a piano. So we have the description of the picture that she had painted and that Bill, the brother, has on the wall. It's a picture of the ocean. There was a picture of a storm on the ocean and a seagull being dashed through the air by the wind. It was called Seagull with Back Broken in Storm. A tragedy, no? It is it is the ocean, but it is a tragedy. The teacher had described the ocean during the first 2 or 3 lessons, and that was what nearly everybody started with. Most of the kids were like her, though, and they had never really seen the ocean with their own eyes, no? Well, that was the picture that Bill had put on the wall, no? The picture of the ocean. She had done some more ocean storms at first, one with an airplane crashing down and people jumping out to save themselves, and another with a transatlantic liner going down. So all her pictures are tragedies. Have you noticed?
Yes.
The storm, the airplane crashing, the boat, the transatlantic drowning, they are all tragedies. And then there are other pictures, but the picture of a fire. She had imagined a big fire on Broad Street. Another tragedy, yes, all the people shouting and running and flames. So her pictures are all disasters, no? Then a picture of people fighting in the street, and she calls the picture Boiler Busts in Factory. Men jumping out of windows. No, they are all disasters. Mick put the picture back on the closet shelf. None of them were any good match. The people didn't have any fingers, and some of the arms were longer than the legs. The class had been fun, though, but she had just drawn whatever came into her head without reason. So her head is full of tragedies. So this is what she painted, no? And finally, she says, nothing was really as good as music. Yes. So she likes art, but her main interest is music. So she knelt down on the floor and quickly lifted the top of the big hat box. Inside was a cracked ukulele strung with 2 violin strings, a guitar string, and a banjo string. So this is fantastic. She found a broken ukulele and she wanted to make a violin from it. No, it's ridiculous. She had 2 strings from a violin, 1 string from a guitar, and 1 string from a banjo. And with those strings, she wanted to make the violin. It's impossible. Then she mended the ukulele with sticking plaster. Le pegó cinta scotch. And the round hole in the middle was covered by a piece of wood. The bridge of a violin held up the strings at the end, and some sound holes had been carved on either side. Mick was making herself a violin. Impossible. She held the violin in her lap. She had the feeling she had never really looked at it before. Some time ago, she made Bubber a little play mandolin out of a cigar box with rubber bands, and that put the idea into her head. Since that, she had hunted all over everywhere for the different parts and added a little to the job every day. It seemed to her she had done everything except use her head. Poor thing. Bill, this don't look like any real violin I ever saw. He was still reading. Yeah, it just don't look right. It just don't. She had planned to tune the fiddle that day by screwing the pegs, but since she had suddenly realized how all the work had turned out, she didn't want to look at it. Slowly, she plucked one string after another. They all made the same little hollow-sounding peng. How anyway will I ever get a bow? Are you sure they have to be made out of just horse's hair? Yeah, said Bill impatiently. Nothing like thin wire, or human hair strung on a limber stick would do. Bah, Bill rubbed his feet against each other and didn't answer. Anger made beads of sweat come out on her forehead. Her voice was hoarse. It's not even a bad violin. It's only a cross between a mandolin and a ukulele. And I hate them. I hate them. Bill turned around. It's all turned out wrong. It won't do. It's no good. Pipe down, said Bill. Are you just carrying on about that old broken ukulele you've been fooling with? I could have told you at first it was crazy to think you could make any violin. That's one thing you don't sit down and make. You got to buy them. I thought anybody would know a thing like that, but I figured it wouldn't hurt you if you found out for yourself. So you see, her brother always knew that it was impossible to make a violin, with pieces of things, but he didn't tell her anything. And so now she feels completely destroyed because, it was a dream that cannot be, cannot materialize. Sometimes she hated Bill more than anyone else in the world. He was different entirely from what he used to be. Claro, obviously before she and Bill were closer. But now the boy is becoming a man and she's still a girl. So the difference between them is bigger, no? So she starts crying. The tears were hot in her eyes as fire. She gave the box a kick and ran from the room without looking at Bill. When she runs away, she crosses her mama. What's the matter with you? What have you been into now? Mick tried to jerk loose, but her mama held on to her arm. Sullenly, she wiped the tears from her face with the back of her hand. Her mama had been in the kitchen and she wore her apron and house shoes. As usual, she looked as though she had a lot on her mind and didn't have time to ask her any more questions. So you see, she cannot find any help in her mother because her mother is always busy, always
Very busy with
Yes,
her
so-
work and a lot of children.
yes. So she doesn't have time, yes, for Mick. Mr. Jackson has brought his two sisters to dinner and there won't be but just enough chairs. So today you are to eat in the kitchen with Bubber. And so Mick, she knew that's hunky-dory with me. So she decides that she can go to the kitchen. So the mama let her go. From the dining room there came the sound of the dinner bell and the sudden glad outbreak of talking. She could hear her dad saying how much he had lost by not keeping up his accident insurance until the time he broke his hip. And here we come to the center of the problem of this family, no? Because the father couldn't work because he had broken his hip and he had not paid for his insurance. So now he had no money and no possibility of a job. So that's why in the family, they are all very poor and they have these people, yes, boarding there and paying $5 each, no? That was one thing her dad could never get off his mind, ways he could have made money and didn't. There was a clatter of dishes, and after a while the talking stopped. Mick leaned on the banisters of the stairs. The sudden crying had started her with the hiccups. It seemed to her as she thought back over the last month, she had never really believed in her mind that the violin would work. But in her heart, she had kept making herself believe. And even now, it was hard not to believe a little. She was tired out. Bill wasn't ever a help with anything now. She used to think Bill was the grandest person in the world. She used to follow after him every place he went, out fishing in the woods, to the clubhouses he built with other boys, to the slot machine in the back of Mr. Brannon's restaurant, everywhere. Maybe he hadn't meant to let her down like this, but anyway, they could never be good buddies again. So the disillusionment, yes, that comes to her, the two things that she understands now, that she could never make a violin like this, I mean, that her dream was a mistake, and that her brother would never be her friend again, because her brother is not the young boy he used to be, no? So she feels very bad. In the hall, there was the smell of cigarettes and Sunday dinner. Mick took a deep breath and walked back towards the kitchen. The dinner began to smell good, and she was hungry. She could hear Portia's voice as she talked to Bubber. And in this way, Portia is introduced in the same way Willie was introduced before, yes? Simply by naming them. We don't know who they are, yes? But they are going to be important later on.